Hey everyone, it's LaDon. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to make a video because I received a beautiful email from Jaleesa. Hey Jaleesa, who is transitioning to natural, and she wrote just a really wonderful letter, just talking about her transition and asking for kind of remedies to some of the challenges we all experience once we're on our journey to natural, and for advice. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to answer your email, Jaleesa, and then also provide information, ideas, and suggestions to other transitioners. Because a lot of times we feel like we're the only ones kind of going through a certain phase in our natural hair, journey, and we're not really sure kind of, you know, what to do and what other folks are doing. And so I thought this would be a great time to kind of talk about that and share with everyone. So, what I'll start out by saying, most of you know that my daughter and I both opted to transition to natural. It turned out we both transitioned for 15 months. And one of the things we decided to do very early on was treat our hair, even though we had the relaxed ends on it, we decided to treat our hair as though it was natural. And the reason we wanted to do that was because we wanted to begin to implement a hair care regimen that would keep our hair as healthy as possible. And that's really important because you don't want over time for the area where the relaxed hair and the natural hair meet to become weakened and break off. So you want to do things that's going to keep the natural hair healthy and the relaxed hair moisturized and healthy as possible as well. So the first thing we began to do was implement use of carrier oils in our hair care regimen. Carrier oils are olive oil, jojoba oil, coconut oil, um, sweet almond oil. Um, there are a variety of carrier oils. I don't know, avocado oil. Those are some of the ones I use. But we began implementing use of several of those very early on. I think we started off with olive oil and castor oil, maybe jojoba oil. But we began using those in terms of our hair care regimen by kind of massaging our scalp with them. And then when we styled our hair, we made sure that we used the olive oil as a daily kind of moisturizer on our hair. The other thing we began to do was we implemented also use of shea butter, and we use that to seal in the moisture. Once we washed our hair, we would put some of the, a carrier oil on, a really light carrier oil, and then we would seal it in with the shea butter. We'd also use shea butter for styling in terms of doing braid outs and twist outs, which was really great and help to keep our hair, healthy and also to hold that moisture in. So we did begin to use shea butter, don't go overboard with it, just a little bit, just a little bit, but we began to do that as well. When it came to washing and conditioning our hair, we used shampoos and conditioners that were moisture rich. And we began to really look at whether it had silicones in it or not. And we opt not to use the silicones because we wanted our hair to be able to breathe, and we didn't want to have the silicones on. So what silicones do is they provide a coating over the hair follicles that can prevent moisture from being absorbed in your hair. So in essence, it can actually suffocate your hair or dehydrate your hair from the inside out. So we avoided use of that because we wanted to make sure that our hair was, again, we're able to keep it healthy and make sure that it's hydrated and moisturized, so we would not experience breakage. So we didn't use products that would build up on our hair in terms of our shampoos or conditioners. We also began reading product ingredients and really learning what all the stuff, in our shampoos, conditioners, gels, um, how that worked on our hair. We learned the difference between good alcohols and bad alcohols. Some alcohols are drying, where as other alcohols can actually help your hair stay hydrated. So we learned the difference between those things. And so that's something that I would suggest that you also do. Look at those product ingredients. Avoid mineral oils, avoid petroleum oils, because it may seem as though they're moisturizing your hair, but they really aren't good at holding in moisture to your hair, and actually they can help your hair, dry out. So we avoided, those kinds of those ingredients in particular when thinking about caring for our hair. The other thing we did right away was to begin to style our hair as though it was natural. So we started to do braid outs, twist outs, um, Bantu knot outs. That was like my go-to, the Bantu knot out. And when it came, and one of the reasons for the Bantu knot out being one of my favorites is because you can very easily, and I apologize for the quality of this. It's very dark outside, even though it's 11 o'clock in the morning, where it looks like we're going to get a storm. But the Bantu knot out was one of my favorite styles because it really masked the fact that you were working with two different hair textures. Um, and it gave you a really kind of stylish look. So I used that, and I also did twist outs and braid outs. The only thing is with the twist outs and braid outs, I would twist it until I got to maybe the last inch or 2 inches of hair. And then I would take it and I would use a flexi rod and I would wrap the twist or the braid around the flexi rod like that. And then, put it in, lock it into place, and then let my hair dry. The reason that's a great style to do on braid outs or twist outs is because you're still working with, when you're transitioning, you're still working with those straight ends. And so to help those ends to curl, and to help the ends of your hair to, again, blend more easily with your newly natural hair, um, wrapping it around a roller or a flexi rod or a perm rod will again help that end to curl and then blend more easily with what's going on at your roots and give you a really cute style that will last like several days. I also did another style I did was just a flexi rod set where I didn't braid it or I didn't twist it. I just did regular, flexi rod set, and I can do a video of that if it's helpful because the technique is basically the same whether you're natural or whether you are transitioning. That was a great style for both my daughter and I, and we could get a week out of those styles. So we began to style our hair as though it were natural. Trying to think what else is really helpful. Um, you know what? Honestly, I would say that those were the most valuable keys. So first, remembering to read your product ingredients, see what you're putting on your hair, make sure you're not putting anything on your hair that will cause dryness or breakage. You want you want to look for ingredients that will add moisture to your hair. And I would start by looking at the first 3 to 5 ingredients on your product so you know what they are. Okay? And avoiding those silicones, mineral oils and petroleum oils because those will dry out your hair. Okay? The other thing was trying to remember what I said here. So reading ingredients, beginning to care for your hair as though it is, as though it were natural. So when you shampoo, again, looking for things that will add moisture, staying away from anything, that is drying, using natural hairstyles like twist outs, braid outs, bantu knot outs, along with a flexi rod for the twist out and braid outs so that your ends more easily blend with your natural hair. And then also using carrier oils such as olive oil, jojoba oil, um, uh, sweet almond oil to moisturize your hair and then sealing them in with either a castor oil or with, a shea butter when you're styling will go a really long way in keeping your hair moisturized and healthy. You know what? When you also, Jaleesa, in your message mentioned gels. So when you mentioned that your gel is protein rich, so you may want to switch to a gel that doesn't have a lot of protein in it because sometimes protein can dry your hair out and cause breakage. Okay, so if you find that your edges are breaking, definitely make sure that you're putting water on your hair on at least a few times a week, sealing it in with an oil, or putting the water on, maybe putting carrier oil on top of that, and then sealing it in with either shea butter or castor oil so that you keep your hair hydrated. That will help you to avoid breakage. And if you have breakage in certain areas, it will help you to at least keep the hair that's left, moisturized and as healthy as possible. In terms of use of gel, if your hair is breaking off in areas where you have the gel, then you want to think about what's in that gel. You want to get a gel that um, um, that is not going to be drying. So you want to look at its ingredients. You want to, if you think it's because it's protein rich, then you want to switch to a gel that doesn't have as much protein in it. I would suggest Kiss My Face Upper Management Gel, just as off the top of my head. It is not heavy, it does not have heavy proteins in it. And just give your hair a break from it so you can figure out if that's why it broke off, whether it was because of the protein or whether it was because your hair was just simply dry in that area. All right, so I hope this was helpful, Jaleesa. And to anyone else, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a message below or send me a direct message. I'm happy to help. Please subscribe, rate, let me know what you think of the video, and if you have other tips for transitioners, or tips that have worked really well for you, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section below as well. Thank you, ladies. Have a good one.